everyone, I am Lahari, Senior Research Fellow in RIE Mysore. We are back with another session in the CTET Paper 2 Science section. Today we are going to learn about another important topic, that is natural resources. So you all know about natural resources, what are those resources, but in this session we will try to recollect and remember all those concepts which we have learned about the natural resources, and also we'll try to solve some PYQs, that is previous year's questions related to this topic, natural resources. And if we observe in the CTET previous year's papers, most of the times at least 2 questions are asked from this topic, that is natural resources. Now let's quickly start into what is there in this chapter. First, what are natural resources? If you see, any material or substances that occur in nature and are valuable to humans are called as natural resources. This is a basic definition about natural resource, and when we look into the classification, we have 2 kinds, that is inexhaustible natural resources and exhaustible natural resources. In inexhaustible natural resources, the name itself says these resources are unlimited in the nature. This can be replenished faster than the human consumption. The examples for this are sunlight, air, soil, all this comes under natural resources, inexhaustible natural resources. But the next classification or the another is exhaustible natural resources. The name itself says these resources are limited in quantities, or this can be taken more time for them to replenish once the humans are using. For example, coal, petroleum and forests. These are considered as exhaustible natural resources. You can also add different examples into the list, that is for inexhaustible natural resources also and exhaustible natural resources. Now let's first start learning about air. We all know air. It is a protective blanket of earth and it is surrounded around our planet like a thin layer called atmosphere, and it extends up to many kilometers above the earth's surface. It shields us, protects us, and it helps in surviving the life and regulating the climate on the planet. Now what if we see the constitution of the air? Air is a mixture of gases, and the air we breathe has so many components in it. First is nitrogen, that is 78% by volume is nitrogen. Then oxygen, it is 20.95, or it can also be considered in some books or in exam also it may be given also as 21%. Then argon, that is 0.93%. Then carbon dioxide, that is 0.03%, and other gases like water vapor, dust, particles, all this comes up to 0.04%. And this mixture of gases, nature tries to balance this proportions everywhere on the planet, and this proportion of oxygen and carbon dioxide is mainly maintained by 2 processes, that is photosynthesis and respiration. So in the photosynthesis, we already know the plants release oxygen by taking the carbon dioxide. In the respiration, the animals or the process of respiration, the oxygen is consumed and carbon dioxide is released. These 2 natural processes keep the balance between the gases oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air. So in this particular slide, we can expect questions in the CTET paper like what is the composition or what is the percentage of nitrogen or oxygen in the atmosphere or in the air. These kind of questions can be expected in this area. Now we have learned about what is air, what is the composition of air. Next, another problem that comes with the concept of air is air pollution, vehicular pollution or smog. So we have seen in the rapid urbanization and rapid development of the nation or the earth or the humankind, we have invented more cars, vehicles. We have also brought in more electric appliances. Also we have started using more factories, industries were built. So also this development also has led to release of some harmful pollutants into the air like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, smoke and other particles. So these are some of the pollutants in the air, and there is also another concept called smog. If you see that word itself has come from two words, that is smoke and fog. So the mixture of smoke and fog is called as smog, and smog causes breathing problems such as asthma, cough and sneezing, especially in the children. It is mostly seen in the polluted cities. The smog is mostly seen in the polluted cities. Now let us see what it means by air pollution. Air pollution occurs when harmful substances mix with the atmosphere and cause damage to the living beings, properties and the environment. So what are these unwanted substances or harmful substances that are causing air pollution? Those are called as air pollutants. And some of the examples of the air pollutants are carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur, hydrogen sulfide, sprays, smoke paints, mist and varnishes. These are some of the gaseous pollutants in the air, and these will cause the air pollution. And because of the air pollution, it will not only affect the living organisms but also the non-living things. For example, if we see the CFCs, the effects of air pollution, if you see, the air pollution affects our health and causes several disorders. Effects on the respiratory system, it may cause nausea, headache and giddiness. Inhalation of excess carbon monoxide can be fatal also, because it forms bond with the blood, and the amount of oxygen will be reduced in the blood, and it may lead to serious health issues, and also it may lead to death also. It can be fatal. So these are different effects of the air pollution. Then next we will see how this CFCs are affecting the ozone layer. If you see, the chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs shortly, are used mostly in the refrigerators and aerosols, and these damage the ozone layer. Now what happens if the ozone layer is damaged? The UV radiation which is coming from the sun is reflected back because of the ozone layer, and the radiation will not directly affect the living organisms on the earth. So this ozone layer is always protecting us from the UV radiation from the sun. Because of the pollution, due to the chlorofluorocarbons, the ozone layer started depleting, and once the ozone layer starts depleting, the amount of UV radiation reaching the earth will increase, and this may lead to the problems like skin cancer, eye damage and many other health problems. And also, the ground level ozone is a strong irritant, and that can cause breathing problems, fluid in the chest and hemorrhage. So the ozone layer in the atmosphere will be protecting us from the UV radiation, but the ground level ozone is also a strong irritant. So that is the reason the chlorofluorocarbons are tried to be restricted in the manufacturing. Then next we have the other effects of the air pollution, that is acid rains, greenhouse effect and global warming. So when we see the acid rain, it is caused mostly due to the pollutants of the oxides of nitrogen and oxides of sulfur. So what happens? The oxides of sulfur is nothing but sulfur dioxide, and oxides of nitrogen, that is nitrogen oxide. When these are released from the industries or the vehicles, these react with the water vapor in the atmosphere. And we all know water vapor, that is H2O, and when it is reacting with nitrogen oxide or sulfur dioxide, it will form sulfuric acid and nitric acid, and these will cause the acid rain. Now what happens if there is an acid rain? It damages the buildings and monuments. It also harms the soil, water bodies and plants. That is, the natural pH of the soil will be changed, the water bodies will be changed, and plants also can't grow, and it also corrodes the marbles and rocks, also called as marble cancer. Most of us know that Taj Mahal has been a live example for this effect of acid rain, because the Taj Mahal is observed the darkening, the marble is turning its color because of the pollutants. Then next one is the greenhouse effect. So we all know greenhouse effect is nothing but the amount of radiation the earth gets from the sun is trapped by the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which warms the earth's atmosphere. For example, if there are no greenhouse gases, the earth's atmosphere temperature will fall very low and it makes it difficult for the survival. So the greenhouse gases is very helpful in the sustaining the life on the earth. The greenhouse effect is a very good phenomena which sustains the life on the earth. But what happens when the greenhouse effect increases? That is when the pollutants, when the greenhouse gases percentage increase in the air, the amount of heat trapped will be more. The amount of heat trapped on the earth's on the earth's surface will be more, and due to that the temperature on the earth will be increasing. And this phenomena where the temperature of the earth is increasing due to the human activities and rise in the average temperature of the earth is called as global warming. And now, what are the greenhouse gases? The greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen oxide and water vapor. These are some examples of the greenhouse gases, and a question can come from this as which among the following is a greenhouse gas or which among the following is not a greenhouse gas. These kind of questions can come in this section. And when you see the effects of global warming, well, as the name itself says, warming, that is the temperature of the earth will be increasing, and as a result of that the glaciers and the polar ice starts melting, and because of the melting of ice the sea levels will be rising and extreme weather events can happen like drought, flood and heat waves, and it's a threat to the human life, animals and the ecosystems. And there is a solution also for this. We can try reducing the emissions from the industries and vehicles. We can try to shift from using non-renewable energy sources to renewable energy sources, planting more trees, saving forests and following a principle of reduce, reuse and recycle, and work, and all of us joining together for a cleaner and safer planet. These are some of the solutions for the air pollution. So we have discussed about air, what are the air pollutants, and we have also discussed the effects of the air pollution. Now let us discuss about the another natural resource which is very important, that is water. If you see our earth, 71% of the earth is covered with the water, and that is nothing but about 2/3 of the earth's surface is covered by the water. And we know the water exists in three forms, that is solid, liquid and water vapor, that is solid, liquid and gas. In form of solid it exists in ice caps, snow and glaciers. In form of liquid, oceans, lakes and rivers, ponds and other water bodies, and in water vapor as in the environment. And what are the uses of this water? Cooking, bathing, cleaning, irrigation, construction. So everything in our life from morning to evening, or from everything in our life we need water. And then another important aspect here is the fresh water. So though we have 71% of water, the earth is covered with water, the fresh water percentage is very less, and most of our daily uses we use fresh water. So the amount of fresh water is very less, and the amount of water on the earth is maintained through a cycle called as water cycle, and water cycle has 4 steps or 4 stages, that is evaporation, condensation and precipitation and collection. So these are the 4 stages of the water cycle. Then next we have groundwater. So the water that is stored in between the layers of the hard rocks below the water table is called as groundwater, and aquifers we call them. So the water that is stored underneath the ground is called as groundwater. Now what is happening for the water? Though we have so much of water, the depletion of water level is seen due to the increased population, increasing in the industries, agriculture activities, and mismanagement of the available resources. Like we are not able to harvest the water, rainwater when it rains, and it may be converting as floods or going away. So these kind of mismanagement is also happening. So that is the reason why the water table is depleting. And we should also remember that World Water Day is celebrated on 22nd March. On every year we celebrate World Water Day on 22nd March. So mostly in this section we can expect questions very simple like World Water Day or the amount of fresh water in the on the earth's surface. These kind of questions can be expected. Now next let us see what is water pollution. What causes water pollution? So when we already saw what is air pollution, now let us see what is water pollution. When water gets polluted due to the presence of many dissolved and suspended impurities, then we call it as water pollution. And this can happen because of the waste we throw or the metals or the toxic metals that are released from the industries or the garbage, industrial waste which is just disposed near the water bodies. This all will lead to the water pollution. Now what happens if water get polluted? First thing is they spread the dangerous diseases like cholera, typhoid, dysentery and jaundice. And it can also cause skin irritations, respiratory problems, eye irritation, diarrhea, and these are different harmful effects of the water pollution. And polluted water does not only affect the human beings, that is the terrestrial life, but also it will affect the aquatic life. The population of fish may reduce, the aquatic species that are living in the water will reduce with the time if the pollution is increasing. And next we will see what are the sewage water or waste water. So what is called a wastewater? The water that is polluted by garbage, chemicals, fecal matter and harmful microbes is called wastewater or sewage water. What this sewage water, if not treated, what will happen to our water bodies? This sewage water, if it is not treated and it is directly led into the water bodies, it will create pollution, and as we have already seen, pollution will bring so many effects for the aquatic and the terrestrial life. So there will be an environmental impact on if the untreated sewage water is directly let into the water bodies, like it pollutes rivers, and also unreacted sewage harms the aquatic life and it will reduce the water quality as well as the availability of fresh water. Now what is the solution for this? Wastewater must be treated before the disposal or before sending into the water body. If you can see, there is a picture where the wastewater that is coming, first it will go to the screening where the larger waste will be removed, then the primary treatment, then the secondary treatment, then the disinfection, and then the water will be let into the water bodies, or it can also be used as recycled water. These days if we can see in most of the airports, they are using the recycled water for cleaning and cleaning purposes. Next, what are the advantages of doing sewage treatment, or what are the advantages of having sewage treatment plants? First is they will remove the toxic substances and pollutants will be removed from the water, and if there are any disease causing microbes, those will also be removed from the water at the STPs, that is sewage treatment plants. And we can remember here one quote, that is cleaner water today, healthy life tomorrow. This is about the water. Next we have about the water management. So how we will manage the water? First is rainwater harvesting, because it will recharge the groundwater, and traditional water collection like bawris or wells, traditional way of collecting water. And in northern part of India or some parts of southern India also, we have the step well system where the water is collected during the rainy season, and that improves the groundwater, and that can also be used when there is no rains. Next, the another one is drip irrigation for the agriculture. It saves water and delivers it directly to the plant's root. So the amount of water spent on agriculture also will be reduced with this. So these are some 3 ways which it is mentioned in the syllabus for the water management. Then next we have biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. So biodegradable waste that are nothing but that can be decomposed by the microbial action, like for example newspaper, fruit peels or dead animal waste. All these are biodegradable waste or biodegradable substances. But when it comes to non-biodegradable substances, these cannot be decomposed by the microbial action. They remain as such in the environment, like the plastic water bottles, the plastic cans or the metallic cans, plastic covers. All these are non-biodegradable waste because these can't be decomposed directly by the microbial action. Then next we have methods of garbage disposal. In that, first is recycle, that is we are using new products are formed from the old ones, that is cans, rags, paper, glass. These are different old products we are using to form the new products. That is one way. Then next one is composting. If you see composting, biodegradable waste buried deep in a pit to form a compost and which can be used to give for the other plants, as well as it can also be used in the agriculture as a manure in the agriculture. Now if you see in composting, we can also have one more variety, that is vermicompost, where the red earthworms are added to the compost bin so that those will help in the decomposition of the compost, the vegetable waste or the biodegradable waste, and to convert it into the manure. That is called as vermicompost. And next is incineration, that is incineration is burns waste at high temperature forming ash. But we should also see what kind of gases are released during the incineration. So we cannot use incineration when the burning is giving very harmful chemicals or pollutants into the air. Then next one is the landfill, that is the solid waste collected and is from all the household, industries and all. It will be dumped into a plain land, barren land, where it is very empty and it is not used for any other purpose. And then that land is covered, that land is filled, the waste is filled with the soil. It is covered with the soil. This is 4 types of garbage disposal methods. One is recycling, composting. In that there is another one, that is vermicompost, and incineration and landfills. Next we will see another resource, that is soil. The another resource, that is after air, water, we are coming to the soil. And here the soil, we all know it is a natural cover on the earth's surface and it has 4 basic components. One is water, air, organic matter and mineral particles. Now why soil is useful? First thing is it supports plant growth and it is mostly a natural habitat for animals, humans and organisms, and it is also formed by the process of weathering. And now we will see what is called a soil profile. Here in terms of CTET, the most important aspect is the soil profile or the horizons. If we see the image, we have A, B, C horizons and each layer has a different texture, different color and different composition. If you see the A horizon, it is the uppermost horizon. It is dark in color, rich in humus and minerals, and it is the most fertile and suitable for the agriculture. Then next we have B horizon, that is generally it is harder and more compact and the amount of humus will be less in the B horizon. Then next C horizon we have, it is mostly constituted by the small rocks, it is hard in the surface. So this is the soil profile and it is one of the most important concept for the CTET in this topic, the soil. And if you see the soil profile, we have to remember A, B and C. A is the topmost, B is the middle and C is the last. And A will have humus, more humus will be there, it will be rich in humus and it is dark in color and it is more fertile. Then B, it is harder and more compact, and C, it is constituted by the small rocks. Next we will see what are the types of the soil. The nature of the soil depends on the rocks or from which it has been formed. If we see, there are 7 types of soils which are mentioned here. That is laterite soil. Laterite soil means it is mostly seen in high rainfall areas. Leaching is there. It is very prone to leaching. That is where the water will be percolated more and acidic, and it is red in color. Next we have red soils. They are also low in fertility, less leached when compared to laterite soils, but leaching is there, and they are more sandier and less clayey. Next we have tundra soils, where they are found in tundra region. Acidic reactions, that is the soil is acidic, and it is also having low fertility and uniform soil profile it is having. Then next we have red desert soil. It is mostly seen in arid tropical regions, and they are moderate to high fertile soil. Then coarse structure and saline in nature. Next we have black soil. It is formed by the basaltic bedrock. It has high water retention formed by the lava flow, and mostly cotton is grown in the black soil. Next, red and yellow soil. It is mostly seen in high temperature region. It is well developed horizon, susceptible to erosion, respond well with the fertilizers. Then next we have podzols, that is humid mid latitude forest and coniferous regions. We are seeing this, and it is more fertile, and it can be enhanced by lime and the fertilizers. Then here there is a quick tip, because most of the questions in this topic can be asked like which type of crop is suitable for which type of the soil. For example, here we have mentioned cotton grows in the black soil, and here we also mentioned cereals such as wheat and gram grow in the clayey and loamy soil. So these kind of questions can be expected in the CTET examination from the concept soil and types of soil. Next, here we also have a concept of soil erosion, as the soil erosion means the topmost layer of soil is being removed by the natural processes or any human induced processes. We have manures and fertilizers. So to improve the quality of the soil and to enrich the soil with the more nutrients and to help more plants to grow, we are using manures and fertilizers. So if you see, manure is mostly, it is made up of decomposed plant and animal waste. It improves the soil naturally, and it increases the humus content in the soil. So regularly if you are giving manure to the soil fertility will be maintained, so it will be more suitable for the plant growth. Then in the other side we have fertilizers. Fertilizers are mostly made in the factories. It is made up of chemical rich, and they are specific to the nutrients, and these help the plants to grow faster and healthier. For example of the fertilizers are urea, potash, NPK, ammonium sulfate and superphosphate. If you observe, most of the fertilizers will have nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. These are the most commonly found substances in the fertilizers. So manures and fertilizers both are used to improve the soil quality and enrich the soil with the nutrients which the plants or the trees are needed in that particular area. Next we have minerals. Minerals are naturally occurring substances with the definite chemical composition and specific internal structure. These are formed by geological processes, and if you can categorize the minerals into metallic minerals and non-metallic minerals. If you see in metallic minerals, the properties are very similar to the properties of the metals we have learned, that is they are hard, lustrous, shiny, malleable and ductile. And if you see the properties of non-metallic minerals, they are very similar to the non-metals, that is they are non-lustrous, brittle, poor conductors of heat and electricity. If we see the examples of the metallic minerals, they are iron ore, copper, gold, bauxite, aluminium ore. These are some of the examples for the metallic minerals. Whereas non-metallic minerals, mica, limestone, gypsum and graphite. So these are some of the examples for the non-metallic minerals. Now why and where these minerals are mostly used? To extract the from the ore we are trying to extract the minerals. For example, the iron ore, that can be hematite or magnetite. It is the backbone of the modern civilization and it is used mostly in the production of steel, construction and machinery. Then copper is used in, it is extracted from the copper ore. The copper is used for making electrical wires as it is having good conductivity. Then next, bauxite ore is the primary source of aluminium. We can see there are more aluminium vessels which we use in our day-to-day life. It is more lightweight and it is corrosion resistant metal. Then next, in the non-metallic minerals, some examples are mica, limestone, gypsum and graphite. If you see mica is an excellent insulator. It is most used in the electrical and electronic industries. India is a leading producer of mica. Then limestone is basically used as a raw material in cement industry and graphite is the purest form of the carbon. So these are the two categories of minerals, and minerals are naturally occurring substances that have a specific chemical composition or an internal structure, and these are formed by different geological processes, and they are categorized as two metallic and non-metallic minerals. Next, we have energy resources, naturally occurring substances or materials on the earth that can be converted and utilized to produce energy or produce power to perform any work is called as energy resources. If we see in the energy resources, there are two types. One is conventional energy resources and non-conventional energy resources. Conventional means these are used for a longer time, and most of the times these conventional energy resources are generally exhaustible and they pollute the environment. But when it comes to the non-conventional resources, these are mostly renewable energy resources, but these are not in common use from longer time, but recent developments are there and it is mostly eco-friendly and these are inexhaustible. Like for examples for the conventional resources are coal, petroleum, and for non-conventional energy resources we can take solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy. These are some of the examples. Now let us discuss in detail about different conventional energy sources. First one is coal. Coal is the majorly in India we are relying on coal for our energy resources, and it is a fossil fuel because it is made from fossils and it is a form of carbon that is obtained from the mines, and it also has compounds, or it is a mixture of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and free carbon. Depending on the amount of carbon content in it, it can be named as peat, that is it has 60% carbon, lignite that is 70% carbon, bituminous that is 78 to 83% carbon, and anthracite that is 90% carbon. And most common variety is bituminous, and anthracite is the purest form of the coal. And coal, if you do the destructive distillation of the coal, you will get other products like coal gas, coke, charcoal and lamp black, and these also are energy resources for other different purposes. Now we see in India major coal deposits are from the Gondwana age, that from that age whatever the deposits are there that have been converted into the coal, and nearly 3/4 of the coal which is available is in the Damodar River Valley and well connected areas like Jharia, Girid, Raniganj, Bokaro and Karanpura. These are the areas where the coal deposits are majorly found, and also on the river valleys like Godavari River, Mahanadi and Varda River. Then other major areas where it is found is Satpura mountain range, Chhattisgarh plains, Singareni in Andhra Pradesh, Chanda in Maharashtra and Talcher in Orissa. So these are some of the places where coal deposits are found in India. Next we will see what is coal gas. See, mostly the questions here in this context may be like which fuel is used for what purpose and what may be the composition of that fuel, that is the coal gas, what is the composition. These kind of questions can be asked. So if we see coal gas, it is a mixture of hydrogen, methane and carbon monoxide, and it is very good fuel. It is used in the metallurgical process for reduction, and it is also used as source of heat. Next, coke. It is also a byproduct of destructive distillation of the coal. It contains 80 to 95% of the carbon, and it is used as a smokeless fuel. It is used as reducing agent in extraction of metals, and almost it is a purest form of the carbon. Next we have another is charcoal. Charcoal is obtained by burning carbon in the absence of air. And what are the different types of charcoal? That is wood charcoal, animal charcoal and sugar charcoal. Wood charcoal, the name itself says it is coming from the wood. So the destructive distillation of the wood will produce wood charcoal, and wood charcoal is mostly black, porous and it is solid, and it is mostly used as fuel, deodorant, decolorizing agent and gas mask. Then next we have animal charcoal, that is it is formed by the destructive distillation of the bones, and it contains 10% carbon, and it is used as adsorbent of coloring matter. Then next we have sugar charcoal. It is formed by destructive distillation of sugar or action of sulfuric acid on the sugar. Pure form of a carbon, it is used as a reducing agent to obtain metals from the oxides. So this is about charcoal. Then we have lamp black. Lamp black is obtained by burning carbon rich oils in insufficient air. And where it is mostly used in printer ink, varnishes and carbon paper. And this carbon black is less greasy than the lamp black. Next we have the another one, that is gas carbon. It is a side product of destructive distillation of the coal. It is good conductor of electricity, and it is used for making electrodes. Next, the black gold or petroleum is another energy resource, that is a conventional energy resource which we will talk. It is mostly dark oily liquid. It is formed by the microorganisms due to the high pressure. It is also a fossil fuel, and it is formed due to the catalytic action over the millions of years, and it occurs mostly in the pores of the sedimentary rocks. It is also called as it's also called as crude oil or black gold. It is a complex mixture of hydrocarbons. So when we are refining crude oil, we will get various other byproducts also. And separation of constituents is happening through the fractional distillation. And petrochemicals that are obtained from crude oil are petroleum and natural gas. And hydrogen is also obtained from natural gas, and that is used in the production of fertilizers. And due to the high commercial importance, this is called as black gold. So these are some of the conventional sources of energy. Next we will see what are the other remaining conventional sources of energy, that is CNG, compressed natural gas. It is a mixture of hydrocarbons. It is majorly of methane, that is 80 to 90% it will be methane. It releases less harmful gases, that is why it helps in reducing the pollution, and it has high combustion temperature than the petrol. And mostly CNG is colorless, odorless gas, and it is lighter than the air. Natural gas is stored under high pressure as CNG, that is compressed natural gas. Now next, mostly the natural gas in India is found in Krishna Godavari basin, and also natural gas is imported through the pipelines for the industries. And we also have 1700 kilometer HV pipeline links Mumbai high and basin to industries in western and northern India. Next we have another source of energy, that is electricity. Electricity has so wide application in our day-to-day life, and also in various industries and factories. That is the reason why if the consumption of electricity is more, it is seen as the sign of the development, because it is used for many other purposes. And then electricity can be generated by two ways, that is thermal electricity and hydroelectricity. In thermal electricity, this is a very conventional method which we are following from ages. That is, we will burn the fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, natural gas, and we will run the turbines and generate the electricity. And in India, we almost have 310 thermal power plants in India. Next, we have hydroelectricity. The word hydro means it is related to the water. So, it is generated by the flowing water. It is mostly pollution free. It is renewable source and it is multi-purpose projects are there. Bakranangal, Damodar Valley and Krishnasagara, these are different places where the hydroelectricity is generated. Then next we have rocket propellants. So what are these rocket propellants? These are the fuels that are used in the rockets to produce the thrust and highly compact high calorific value. Here we come across the term calorific value. What does it mean by calorific value? It is nothing but it is the amount of energy fuel can produce if 1 kg of fuel is burnt. That is how many kilojoules of energy it can produce for 1 kg of the fuel combustion it happens. That is called as calorific value. Next we have types of propellants or types of fuel in the rockets which we use. One is liquid, one is solid, one is mixed. In the liquid propellants we have liquid hydrogen, alcohol, kerosene, liquid ammonia and liquid H2 and liquid O2. And in solid propellants we have synthetic nitrocellulose, ammonium perchlorate and nitroglycerin. Then we have mixed propellants where we have solid plus liquid, that is solid fuel plus liquid oxidizer, N2O4 component of mixed propellant. So these are the mixed propellants. So these are the another with this we finish the conventional sources of energy. Next we will see what are the non-conventional sources of energy or the source of energy that we are not using from ages but in the recent times which we have started using. In that first comes the nuclear power. So what is meant by nuclear power? Nuclear power means trying to use the the minerals for nuclear reactions for generating the power. So the key minerals that are involved are uranium, thorium, monazite, charoite, zirconium and graphite. And it is a complementary source for the fossil fuels. We are using the atomic energy for peaceful purposes by generating the nuclear power. And we have nuclear power plants in India at Tarapur, Rawatbhat, Kalpakam and Narora. These places we have nuclear power plants to generate the electricity. Next, another clean energy source is solar energy, because the climate in which or the place in which India is there, we have more abundance for the solar energy and it is a renewable source of energy. It is used mostly for power generation and heating purposes. It is also helpful in conservation of our environmental conservation, and it reduces the dependence on the fossil fuels like firewood and cow dung. And largest solar power plant is in Madhapur, Bhuj in Rajasthan. Next we have wind energy, that is using the wind we are trying to generate the electricity. Wind farms set up in windy regions. Major areas where we have wind power in India is Tamil Nadu, that is Nagarkoil and Madurai belt, and Rajasthan in the Jaisalmer belt. And there are also wind power stations in some parts of other states also like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Gujarat, Kerala, Maharashtra and Lakshadweep. These are some of the non-conventional sources of energy. Next we have biogas, that is produced mostly from the organic waste, like it may be plant, animal or human waste. How the gas or how the power is generated here is, it is by the anaerobic decomposition, that is without oxygen the decomposition happens in a biogas plant and the gas that comes out is used as a fuel, and it is also used as a clean fuel in villages or in rural areas mostly. And we can see gobar gas where the cattle cow dung or the cattle dung is used to produce the gas, and it is has multiple applications. One is for the energy and also for the manure, and then it reduces the deforestation and also it saves the fuel or the fuel wood which we are going to use. The next one is the tidal energy, that is utilizing the energy or the utilizing the tide movements to produce the electricity. So this is mostly based on the ocean tides. So there will be floodgates and dams that is built across the inlets, and whenever there is a high tide, the water flows in and it will get trapped when the gate is closed, and the water get released when it is low tide, and this will be used to run the turbines to generate the electricity. And the regions, ideal regions in India are Gulf of Kambat, that is Gujarat, Gulf of Kutch, that is Gujarat, and Sundarban, that is West Bengal. Then the next and the last one in this non-conventional source of energy is geothermal energy. That is geothermal, that is using the earth's interior heat to produce the heat and electricity. And wherever the high concentration areas are there, that is wherever the high temperatures are there at a shallow depth, there you can plan the geothermal energy power plants. Like the hot springs that indicate that there is a chance for the geothermal energy. And there are experimental projects in geothermal energy. One is in Parvati Valley, Himachal, and Puga Valley, Ladakh. So these are non-conventional sources of energy. Next we have what we have to do to conserve this energy sources. So why do we need to conserve this energy sources in the first place? First thing is the demand is increasing daily, and to prevent the pollution, environmental pollution, and the source of energy are limited as we have discussed. Most of the sources like coal, petroleum, these are very limited, and if we are conserving energy, we can also save money, economy will be proper, and also it ensures security for the future generations also to have the energy to use. And next, how to conserve the energy? What are the ways in which we can conserve the energy? First thing is we can use energy efficient appliances. Next, we need to switch off lights, fans, and any electrical appliances when we are not using them, and shifting to the renewable sources of energy. Then maintaining vehicles and any electrical machinery regularly so that the amount of fuel consumed may be reduced. And then we have to improve insulation and reduce the heat loss, and we should also follow the principle of reduce, reuse, and recycle the resources. Now, what are the benefits we get from the conservation of energy? One is sustainable development, healthier environment, and reduces the dependence on non-renewable sources, economic growth, and better quality life. So this is about the energy, and we have seen two types, that is conventional energy sources, non-conventional energy sources, and what are the tips for the conservation of energy resources. Now let's discuss about the next concept, that is biodiversity. So what does it mean by the term biodiversity? It encompasses the variety of life forms on the earth, and also it includes both biotic and abiotic components of the aspects. That is, like biotic aspects means that is the living things, and abiotic components means non-living things. Biotic aspects like plants, animals, microorganisms, all the living things comes under the biotic components, and non-living things like water, air, soil, sunlight, temperature, minerals, etc. comes under the abiotic components. And all together, both biotic and abiotic components together is called as biodiversity. Now, what happened to biodiversity? Why is it threatened? Because it is threatened because of the habitat loss, because of the overuse, pollution, poaching, and more. The biodiversity, or some species are becoming extinct, or some species are losing their space on the earth. Next, conservation means it is to protect or to conservation means protection, and it improves the scientific management, and it also aims to maintain the ecological balance and sustainable benefits from the biodiversity. Now, how to conserve this biodiversity? First, we have to identify and protect the critical habitats, that is which are in the verge of destruction, and we have to prevent poaching and hunting of the animals in the forests, and we have to reduce the pollution levels, and we should also establish natural parks and wildlife sanctuaries where we can conserve the biodiversity. Now, to conserve this biodiversity, there are various government initiatives that have come, like different acts and different bills that have been passed. First is the Forest Conservation Bill, or sorry, Forest Conservation Act 1980, Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Environmental Protection Act 1986, National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan NBSAP in 1999, and Biological Diversity Bill in 2002. These are different government initiatives for the conservation of the biodiversity. Next, we will see what is a biosphere reserve. First, we will try to understand what is meant by biosphere. Biosphere means it is an interconnected web of all the life on the environment or on the earth is called as biosphere. Biosphere reserve means it is a particular area which is identified for the both research purpose also and to conserve the biodiversity in that particular place. It can include land, marine and coastal ecosystems. And why these sites are identified? These sites are identified for the research, learning and innovation to balance both people as well as the nature. And here we will try to understand from the interdisciplinary perspective how both ecological and social changes can happen for a better future. And these sites are internationally recognized and identified, but this will be under the responsibility of that particular country and it is managed by the sovereign authority of that particular country. And biosphere reserve is a place where the nature thrives and people live in harmony. It not only talks about the conservation of the animals or plants, but also the tribal people or the people living in that particular place or by that particular site. And what are the key benefits of this biosphere reserve? First is it conserves biodiversity and it promotes sustainable use of resources and it supports research, education and capacity building. And it also improves the human well-being. It ensures a healthy planet for future generations. Next, we will see various types or the key words about different species. The species categories, here if you see there is extinct species, that is these species are no longer found on the world or on the earth. Next we have endangered or threatened species, that is this population is reduced to a very critical level and are at an immediate risk of extinction. That is like the population of tigers is declining very rapidly. That is why we have Bandipur Tiger Park, National Park, so that where we can conserve these animals. And also the next one is vulnerable species, that is these species are reducing in the number, that is because of the habitat loss or over exploitation, but still they are still in abundance, but the number is reducing very drastically. These are called as vulnerable species. Next we have rare species. These are found in limited area or scattered over a wide area. They are not endangered or vulnerable, but in general the number of this species will be very less or it is a rare. Now we have these four special categories of the species, and next we have endemic species of India. First we will try to understand what does it mean by the word endemic species. Endemic species means these species are particularly found only in that particular region. They are not found in any other region, and nearly 60% of the endemic species of India are in Himalayas and Western Ghats. Most concentrated areas are Himalayas and Western Ghats, but we also have Northeast region and Andaman and Nicobar Islands, where we almost have 1,000 endemics, 1,000 or more than 1,000 endemic species of India are also listed in Andaman Nicobar Islands. So these endemic species are only seen in that particular region. So why we have to protect these endemic species? Because they protect the unique heritage of that place and unique genetic heritage they are carrying, and they are helping in maintaining the ecological balance of that particular place or region, and they will help in building sustainable ecosystems, and also they ensure the future biodiversity. So this is about the natural resources. So far we have learned. Now we will start with the solving of previous year's questions from the CTET paper 2 science. I hope all of you are with me, listening to the long list of topics we have discussed. Now let us quickly start into the questions. The first question is, the greenhouse effect which is causing an increase in the atmospheric temperature is mainly due to. So the question is asking about the greenhouse effect. That means we have to see why or which are the greenhouse gases that are responsible for the greenhouse effect, that is increasing in the temperature. Now we see the options: nitrogen, carbon dioxide, sulfur and oxygen. So in the option, you might have all guessed the correct answer is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. Nitrogen, sulfur and oxygen are not greenhouse gases. Next we will go to the question number 2, that is biosphere reserves conserve. So what does biosphere reserves conserve? Are they conserving the wildlife, traditional tribal life, forest resources, or all of the above? We had just discussed what are biosphere reserves, where we see there is a biodiversity conservation with respect to all, that is wildlife, tribal life and forest resources. It not only means only the plants and animals but also the people in that particular region. So the correct answer is all of the above, that is option 4. Now next we will go to the question, when CNG or LPG undergoes complete combustion, the products formed is or are. So this is a question they are asking. In the combustion of CNG, that is compressed natural gas, and LPG, that is liquefied petroleum gas. So what are the byproducts, or what are the products, not byproducts, what are the products that are formed due to the combustion of these two fuels? So if we see the options, one is carbon dioxide and water, option 2 is carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and water, option 3 only carbon dioxide, option 4 is carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide and water. As we know, CNG and LPG are considered to be a cleaner fuels. So when they are completely combustion happens, we will get carbon dioxide and water, because they are organic chemicals, CNG as well as LPG. So combustion of this will give carbon dioxide and water. The correct answer is option 1. Now let's go to the next question. Which of the following is a fossil fuel? So compressed natural gas, liquid nitrogen, polyethylene terephthalate and low density propane. If you see, the compressed natural gas is a fossil fuel, we all know. Then next we have liquid hydrogen. Liquid hydrogen is a good fuel, but we should remember it is not a fossil fuel, but it is generated or it is produced chemically in the industries. Next it is polyethylene terephthalate, that is not a fuel at all, it is a plastic, it is a type of plastic, PET. Next we have low density propane, that is a byproduct when the natural gas is extracted, that is also a byproduct, but it is not used as a fuel. So the answer options 2, 3, 4 can be eliminated, and the correct answer is option 1, that is compressed natural gas, CNG. Now let's go to the next question. For the conservation of forests, a successful strategy is essential. This strategy should involve protection of consumers, that is they are the highest level of animals, protection of consumers. Then second option is protection of animals at the highest trophic level, that is top carnivorous, as they depend directly on the herbivorous. Then the third is protection of herbivorous. Fourth is a comprehensive program for protection of all physical and biological concepts of the components of the forest. So if you see, conservation of the forest means we have to not only think about the carnivorous or the highest trophic level animals, or only protection of herbivorous which are in the mid, but we should have a comprehensive plan to protect all the physical and biological components of the forest. So the correct answer is option 4. Now we are in the question number 6. The question is the crop nutrients available in fertilizers are. If you remember, we have discussed the most nutrients that are available in the fertilizers are nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. If now we let us look into the options. The first option is nitrogen, phosphorus and iron. No, that is incorrect option. Then the next option is nitrogen, sodium and potassium. So sodium is also there, so it's also an incorrect option. Next we have nitrogen, potassium and iron. So this is also an incorrect option. The next option is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, and it is the correct answer. So the correct answer is option 4, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, NPK. Next we have the steps required for conversion of kitchen garbage into manure are given below in a jumbled form. So if you see, there are 4 statements given in this question about how to convert the kitchen garbage into the manure. If you see, the first statement given is put the garbage in the pit. Second is cover the bottom of the pit with sand. Cover the pit loosely with grass or a gunny bag. Add worms. If you see the first, if you come to the options, you see 1, 2, 3 and 4. All the options have B as the first step. So we can avoid that, like we can consider that B is the first step. We need not give a second thought. Next we see put the garbage in the pit, because once we are covering the bottom of the pit with the sand, we have to put garbage in the pit. That is A. Next we have to add the worms for the decomposition or to conversion of the manure, that is D. Next we have to cover the pit loosely with the grass and a gunny bag. So that is C. So the correct answer is B, A, D, C. That is the order, and the answer is option 3. So these kind of questions are little slightly application level, which are not directly asked, but which are very easy also, because it's very easy if you remember the process in which the manure is made or the composting is done. Next question, we will see which of the following is a pair of exhaustible natural resources. Exhaustible resources means the resources which are going to get which are limited or which will be completed in on some days. So if you see the options, coal and soil. Coal is an exhaustible natural resource, but soil is inexhaustible natural resource, so one is incorrect. The next 2 we have petroleum and water. Petroleum is an exhaustible natural resource, but water is inexhaustible, so option 2 is also incorrect. Then next we have minerals and wildlife. Minerals is an exhaustible natural resource, and wildlife is also considered exhaustible natural resource, because if not taken care, if not conserved properly, the wildlife also can get extinct. So wildlife is also considered as exhaustible natural resource. Then next we have natural gas and sunlight. Natural gas is an exhaustible natural resource, but sunlight is inexhaustible natural resource. So the correct answer is option 3, in which minerals and wildlife are considered as exhaustible natural resources. Now let us go for the next question, that is, which one of the following statements is true about endemic species? Now let us recall what is meant by endemic species. Endemic species are those which are particular to, which are seen or found only in that particular region or that particular habitat. Now we have to find which of the following statements is true about them. The first option is they are not affected by destruction of their habitat. It is incorrect. They are found only in zoos and botanical gardens. This is also incorrect. Then they are found exclusively in a specific habitat. That seems correct. Let us see the fourth option. Endemic species can never become endangered. So if the habitat is lost, they can also become endangered, and it can also lead to the extinction. So the option 4 is also incorrect. Hence the correct answer is option 3. They are found exclusively in a specific habitat. That is, endemic species are particular to one region. Now next question is, choose the set that represents only biotic components of a habitat. I hope all of you remember what are biotic components. Biotic components are those which are living things are called as biotic components. So here we will see the first option, sand, turtle, crab and rock. Here sand and rock are abiotic components, so that is an incorrect option. Then next we have option 2, insects, frog, fish and aquatic plants. This seems a correct answer. Now let's see the third, that is tiger, deer, grass and soil. Here soil is a abiotic component, so it is also incorrect. Then 4 we have insects, water, aquatic plants and fish. Here we have water, that is an abiotic component. So option 4 is also incorrect. So the correct answer is option 2, where you have insects, frog, fish and aquatic plants. So these are all biotic components of the habitat. Now let's go to the next question. Select the correct statement about the biosphere reserves. This is a repetitive question. These are protected areas meant for conservation of endemic species only. These are the areas meant only for the conservation of plants and animals. These are the areas which help to maintain biodiversity and culture of the areas. These are the protected areas reserved for wildlife where they can freely use habitats and natural resources. So this is a little tricky when 3rd and 4. In 3 we say these areas maintain the biodiversity and culture of that area. In 4 we are saying it is reserved for wildlife where they can use only the habitat and natural resources. The 4th option is limiting it only to the wildlife, but we know biosphere reserves are not only for the wildlife but also for the humans or the people living in that particular region. So hence the option 3 is the correct answer. These are the areas which help to maintain the biodiversity and culture of that area. Next we will go to the question number 12. Cereals such as wheat and gram are grown in an area. The soil of this area must be. So we have to go and recall what we have learned during the learning of types of soil. We have seen cereals and wheat are mostly grown in the soils that are both clayey and loamy. So we will see option 1, they are saying it is both loamy and sandy. It is an incorrect option. Option 2, it is only clayey, so it is also incorrect option. Then option 3, we have sandy and clayey, that is also incorrect. Then option 4, we have both clayey and loamy soil. So this is the correct answer. Cereals like wheat and gram are grown in the soils that are both clayey and loamy. Next we will go to the next question, that is, which of the following commonly used fuels have maximum calorific value? So we have to recall what is meant by the term calorific value. As I have already said, calorific value means it is the amount of energy released when 1 kg of that fuel is undergoing combustion. That is called as calorific value. Now let us see the calorific values of these particular fuels. So next, the fuels, if you see the cow dung cake, it is 6000 to 8000 kilojoule per kg. And you see in the order, now let us compare it with the options we have. First we have CNG. If you see, CNG is 50,000 kilojoule per kg. Then diesel, that is 45,000 kilojoule per kg. Then LPG we have with 55,000 kilojoule per kg, and then petrol we have with 45,000 kilojoule per kg. And the question clearly asks which of the following will have a higher calorific value, and it is clearly understood it is liquefied petroleum gas, that is option 3. So next. So the answer is LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. Now we will go to the next question, that is, air is a mixture of many gases. The percentage by volume of gases other than nitrogen and oxygen as CO2, methane, argon, ozone and water vapor combined together is about. So the question is a little tricky in a way because they are asking the percentage of volume of other gases other than nitrogen and oxygen. So we all know the amount of nitrogen in the air is 78% and oxygen is roughly 21%. So it contributes to 99% of the air's composition. Now the question is asking what about the other components like CO2, methane, argon, ozone and water vapor. What is the combined volume percentage of these gases? and the answer will be option 2, that is 1%, because nitrogen and oxygen will have 99% almost, that is 78 plus 21. So the rest 1% will be the other gases. So the answer is option 2. Now let us go for the next question, that is consider the following statements about biodiversity. It is a similar question to the previous model, that is where the 4 or 5 statements are given and we have to identify the correct statements, or sometimes it can also be incorrect statements. So here they are asking us to find the correct statements about the biodiversity. Let us read the statement 1. It refers to the total number of individuals of a particular species living in an area. So biodiversity, you will not talk about a particular species. If you are talking about a particular species, it is population. So option or the statement A is incorrect. So with this itself we can rule out option 1, 3 and 4, because all the options except option 2 has A in common. So we know that A is incorrect, so we can rule out the other 3. But to make sure, let us read the other 3 statements also. Refers only to the flora and fauna of particular species in a given area. That is also incorrect, because biodiversity doesn't only talk about the flora and fauna in that particular area, and it refers to the various varieties of species of flora and fauna present in a area. Then it is an artificially protected area for the animals. No, biodiversity is not an artificially protected area like zoo or a national park. So that is also incorrect. So the correct answer is only C. The true statement here is only C, and that is option 2. Now let's go for the next question. That is, which fuel has the highest calorific value among the following? It is very similar question. Now let us again see the chart where we have given the calorific values. We see diesel, it is 45,000, hydrogen it is 1,50,000, and coal it is 25,000 to 33,000, and petrol that is 45,000. And you can see in this chart, hydrogen has the highest calorific value. And in exam, if you got a question like which among the following fuels has the highest calorific value, and if the option says hydrogen, you can undoubtedly click that option or check that option as correct, because hydrogen has the highest calorific value in the chart provided to us. So the correct answer here will be option 2. The highest calorific value among the given fuels is for hydrogen. Now let us go for the next question, that is consider the following statements about adding organic manures to the soil. They make soil rigid so as to hold the plants firmly. They add inorganic matter to the soil which is considered very rich in plant nutrients. They improve the texture of the soil. They enhance water holding capacity of the soil. And we have to find out which is the correct statements here. So if you see, they make the soil rigid so as to plants hold firmly. This is an incorrect statement, because the fertilizer or the manure which you are adding will not affect the soil rigidity. It will not make the soil rigid. In turn it makes the soil more porous, and so that more water retention will be increased. Then they add inorganic matter to the soil, that is correct, and they also improve the texture of soil, that is also correct. They enhance water holding capacity, that is also correct. So the correct statements are B, C and D. And when we know the option A is incorrect, we are left with only option 1 and option 3. And if we are sure the B is correct, the option 1 will be the correct answer. So the correct answer is option 1, B, C and D. Now let's go for the next question. Suppose you are a farmer living at a place having black soil. If the climate of your region is wet and you want to grow fiber yielding plants in your yields, then which of the following would you prefer? Coconut, rayon, jute and cotton. Rayon is a synthetic fiber, so that will be ruled out. The option 2 will be ruled out. Next you have coconut, jute and cotton. And when they have said it is a black soil, we will go for the cotton. So the correct answer is option 4, cotton. So we can grow cotton if the soil is black soil, and if you want a high fiber yielding plants in your field, that is cotton. The correct answer is option 4. Then next we have another question, which of the following is not an advantage of using manures over the fertilizers? First thing is, it makes soil porous, it is an advantage. Then it increases the number of friendly microbes, it is also an advantage of adding manure. Then it fixes atmospheric nitrogen, this needs to be thought. Then fourth, it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. So 1, 2 and 4 are correct, and they are the advantages of using manures over the fertilizers. And fixing the atmospheric nitrogen is not because of the manure, but it is because of the other microorganisms there. So the option 3 is the answer for this question, because they are asking which is not the advantage. So option 3 is the correct answer. Now let's go for the last question in this discussion. Read the descriptions of various layers of the soil given below. Identify the horizons for X, Y, Z in the correct sequence. So we have to read the 3 statements given, X, Y and Z, and we should also say which it belongs to, like X belongs to which horizon, Y belongs to which horizon and Z belongs to which horizon. And I hope all of you recollect what are the soil profile, 3 layers, 3 horizons, A, B and C. A is the topmost, which has high humus and more suitable for the agriculture. Then B, then comes the C. Now the layer is made up of small lumps of rocks with cracks. So it is most likely to be made of rocks, that means it's most likely to be the C horizon. And now if you see the options, only 2 and 4 are having first as C horizon, 1 and 3 will be ruled out. The next one is the layer is soft and porous and retains more water, that is more likely to be horizon A. And next also we will see the compact layer containing a lot of minerals but less humus. So if it is more humus, then we can say A, but they are mentioning it as less humus, so it must be horizon B. Now we will check X is C, Y is A and Z is B. And if we see the options 2 and 4, the 4 will be the correct answer. So X is C horizon, Y is A horizon and Z is B horizon. So this is the soil profile, and all this are the previous year's question paper questions. So you can see this topic is very important in the CTET paper 2 science syllabus, because we may get at least 2 to 3 questions from this particular topic, because the topic is also huge and lot many things are covered in this natural resources. I hope all of you have got a clear idea and understanding about the concept as well as how to solve the questions. We all will meet in the next video. Thank you for watching.